If you have topics you would like to have us discuss on the Aging Well podcast, please click on the links in the episode description to send us a text or record your message or comments. We'd love to hear from you and how we can help you age well. If you benefit from the Aging Well podcast and would like to support the content financially, please click on the Support the Show link or support our affiliates and advertisers. Welcome to the Aging Well podcast. I'm Jeff Armstrong here with Corbin Bruton. In this and the episodes that follow, we will share candid discussions on aging and hear from the experts. We are here to inform and encourage as we experience, aging. This is part 7 of our series on the 7 habits of highly effective aging. The habits to be discussed include keeping self-esteem, maintaining fitness, being busy, remaining connected, being happy and making others happy, fighting for rights, and planning for fourth age. This is part 2 of a 2-part look at the habit of planning for fourth age. In this episode, Dr. Armstrong discusses what one should consider in planning for third and fourth age based on one's specific circumstances, values, and goals, and creating a comprehensive plan for aging well. In episode 94, we considered the 7th habit of highly effective aging, which is planning for fourth age. ChatGPT concluded that planning, quote, requires a balance between setting goals and being adaptable to change. While it's important to have a vision and plan ahead, it's equally crucial to remain open to the possibilities that may unfold along the way, unquote. So in this episode, we asked the question, what should we consider then for planning for successful aging or aging well? And I think it's important that we plan for third age with consideration of the possibilities for fourth age. As ChatGPT suggests, this requires a balance between setting goals and being adaptable to change. We talk a lot on this podcast about preparing for third age. ChatGPT suggests that considerations for planning for third age might include the areas of personal fulfillment, lifelong learning, health and well-being, relationships and connections, and legacy and contributions, so that we discuss each of these individually as we look from third age and then consider what we might plan for in fourth age. Again, I'm on my own for this podcast. Corbin could not be with me today, so I'll just be sharing my own thoughts on how we can prepare for third and fourth age. So beginning with personal fulfillment, we need to focus on pursuing personal interests, passions, and goals that may have been put on hold during earlier stages of life. We need to use this time to explore new hobbies, travel, engage in creative endeavors, or contribute to causes that are important to you. So with personal fulfillment, we want to be looking as we go into third age, what are we going to do beyond our employment years? We need to have something that interests us that's going to keep us busy, give us a purpose to get up in the morning and to be active and not just kind of sit around in our rocking chair waiting for fourth age to occur. And so a lot of these personal interests, passions, and goals should be established in second age. These should be things that, okay, we don't have the time to do it right now in second age because we have work, we have families, and we have all those other types of things. But set ourselves up so that when we get into retirement, what are we going to do? I love kayaking, and I've not been able to kayak near as much as I want to. And I guarantee when I get into my third age, that boat's going to be on top of my car as much as possible, and I'm going to get into the water as much as I'm physically capable of doing. But I need more than that as well. I mean, I need to continue my physical training and lifting weights and cardiovascular exercise, trying to stay healthy. But I'm still going to need more than that. Maybe coaching. There are hobbies that maybe I've not really participated in much over the course of my lifetime. I used to love to draw. I have not drawn in decades. So maybe some of those things I can come back to a little bit later in life. But it's also an opportunity to learn new interests and new activities that will give us the opportunity to develop those as we get into the third age. And that kind of leads into number 2, lifelong learning. We need to continue to expand our knowledge and skills through various means. We can take courses or community colleges. There's tons of online opportunities to learn things now, even just going to the library or searching the internet for information. We can learn a lot. We can attend workshops. We can participate in educational programs. We need to embrace the opportunity to engage in the intellectual pursuits in our personal development. And so, you know, find ways to keep learning, keep reading, keep, watching more educational television, go to conferences, go to presentations, watch TED Talks. There's so much that we can do to continue to learn and to grow intellectually as we seek to age well. Health and well-being. I think this is, of all of these, the one that we probably promote the most on this podcast. We need to prioritize our physical and mental health by adopting a balanced lifestyle. We don't have to go overboard in terms of what we do to maintain our health. In fact, if we maintain a relatively good health through first and second age, it becomes a little bit easier to maintain that as we get into third and then ultimately into fourth age. So we want to maintain our regular exercise. We want to eat a nutritional diet. Try and eat healthy foods. We don't have to go overboard with this. We want to enjoy food, but we want to enjoy the indulgences with more moderation and try and eat as healthy of a diet as possible that is going to prolong our lives as opposed to have a negative impact on our health as we age well. I also want to engage in activities that promote mental well-being. These could be things like meditation, journaling, socializing with family, friends, and other colleagues and neighbors. Being connected, remaining connected with our communities, but doing things that benefit us in all five of those dimensions of well-being: spiritual, physical, intellectual, emotional, and social. And then number 4 is relationships and connections. We want to cultivate and strengthen relationships with loved ones, friends, and communities. And for many, I know there may be, challenges in those relationships. Many of our relationships have been stressed over the years. Maybe it's time for some forgiveness. Maybe it's some time for reaching out and creating new friendships and new communities where we feel welcomed. But we want to engage in social activities, join clubs and organizations, have, again, a network that we can connect to on into third age, and then foster connections that bring fulfillment and a sense of belonging to us as we age well. Lastly is legacy and contribution. We want to consider ways that we can leave a lasting impact and contribute to the community or causes that are meaningful to us. This can involve mentoring young generations, volunteering, sharing knowledge and experiences, or supporting charitable endeavors. So as we look into third age, we want to look at how are we planning on impacting our communities and our neighborhoods and our opportunities to interact with other individuals. It may be mentoring youth groups or coaching or volunteering at the local elementary or middle schools or high schools to help train kids and educate kids. There's just so many opportunities that we have available to us to contribute to our communities and to our neighbors and even to our own families. As grandparents, as we go into third age, we are able to provide time and opportunity to spend more time with our grandchildren and even our own children, because we have relieved ourselves of some of the time burdens of working and travel or whatever might come with living in that second age. So what about planning for fourth age? ChatGPT suggests that we prepare for healthcare and support, quality of life, end of life planning, and emotional support. And many of us don't want to think about these things. We tend to think that we are going to be able to last forever, that we're not going to decline the way that we see other older adults decline. But the reality is we have no no idea what can happen in our future. And so we have to plan for both the best scenario and the worst scenario at the same time. And so when we look at healthcare and support, we have to plan for potential healthcare needs, whether that's going to be insurance, um, regular doctor care, or being in a community where we have access to adequate health care. And we want to ensure that we have appropriate arrangements in place, such as our medical insurance, advanced directives, and a support network to assist us with any physical or cognitive challenges that may arise. And, for example, with Alzheimer's disease, as that hits us, we may not be in a position to begin to make decisions that can help us to prepare for that future. And so we need to be prepared for the worst case scenario before that situation arises. This is where I like the idea of living in a more continuing care retirement community, to where we have the options of living quite individually, quite independently, but we can also transition to whatever degree of further care we might need as we enter into our fourth age. And hopefully, we don't need to be in a situation of hospice care or anything like that, but we have to be prepared for that. And we have to have, kind of our discussions with our family members and our close associates of what are our wishes for our advanced years. Do we want to have one particular person be in charge of making decisions for us financially, physically, whatever it might be, if we get into a situation where we are physically or cognitively unable to make those decisions? That needs to be decided on well in advance, and we need to be planning for fourth age, not knowing what lies ahead for us during that period of time. And we look at quality of life. We want to prioritize our comfort and well-being as we age. We want to explore options for assisted living, long-term care, and other arrangements that can provide the necessary support and resources for having a fulfilling life in our fourth age. And so, how are we planning for that quality of life as we move from second age through third age toward fourth age? And again, planning for the worst case scenario, but being able to live in the best case scenario is our ideal. And so again, having that plan in place, looking at communities where we can make those adjustments pretty readily as circumstances might shift, then we are ultimately going to have better opportunities to live a better quality of life. And so we need to have that contingency plan in place. And that leads to number 3, which is end-of-life planning. We need to consider the important end-of-life decisions, such as wills, estate planning, and funeral arrangements. These are not comfortable discussions, but they're discussions that we should begin having really early on, even in the second age with our families, because we never know what might happen. There could be circumstances beyond our control that may actually cause us to skip third age altogether and go right into fourth age. And we don't necessarily want to be caught unprepared. And so having a will is hugely important. And it's just a matter of meeting with an attorney, somebody capable of helping you to draft a document that's going to determine what happens after you pass, and what's going to happen to our estates. I discussed my epigenetics test with True Diagnostic co-founder Hannah Wendt in episode 162. Epigenetic testing measures baseline and changes in your pace of aging, giving you the power to steer your anti-aging or health and wellness journey in the right direction. I learned that I am aging well. Click on the affiliate link in the episode description, use the promo code AGEWELL, and receive a 12% discount on your epigenetics test and monitor your pace of aging. What do we want funeral-wise? Have you had the discussions with your families as to, do you want to be buried in a coffin? Where do you want to be buried? How do you want to be buried? What kind of funeral, wake, ceremony do you want to have after your passing? Do you want to be cremated? Do you want to donate your body to science for medical training and those types of things? Do you want to donate your organs, which I think we all should consider at least organ donation and having the opportunity to impact somebody's life after our passing? But what are these plans? What are these arrangements we want to have? And so engage with your loved ones about your wishes, have discussions, ensure that your affairs are going to be in order so that when the time comes, and it will ultimately come, whether sooner or later, our affairs are in order and our families have clear directives as to what we wish. And families honor those wishes of your elders. Too often you see people who have communicated what they want in their end of life, and when that time comes, the families don't follow that because of either their own discomfort, their own selfishness, their own desires, or whatever it might be. But we want to honor the decisions that our elders are making as they prepare for fourth age. And then lastly, we look at emotional support. We want to seek emotional support from friends, family, professional resources that can help us to navigate the emotional challenges that may arise during this stage. It's important to address feelings of dependence, loss, existential concerns with appropriate support systems. And so, what are you doing now in second age and third age in preparing for having this emotional support? And part of it is on us to try and maintain healthy relationships so that we have people who will be willing to be around for us when the going gets tough. Do you have friends? Do you have that close network of friends, not just simply associations and kind of a social crowd that isn't going to be there when you really need them? Do you have those people that have your back and are going to be there when the going gets tough? Do we have strong relationships with our families? And if not, what can we do to mend those relationships so that we're not kind of having these deathbed regrets where we are wishing that we had spent more time with our children or been kinder to our family members? I'm always moved by the song Cats in the Cradle by Harry Chapin. And it's not because my relationship with my father was like it is in the song. In fact, the reason I am so moved by the song is that my relationship with my father is the complete opposite. All my memories of being a kid was that my father was always there, even when my parents got divorced. I remember wrestling matches and having my father always up in the crowd, and when win or lose, he's always coming down after the match to give me a big hug and support me. And there was times as a teenager that feels kind of embarrassing, but I never have looked back and said, gee, I wish, my father had been around a bit more. And, there's probably been times when, unlike the song, I'm like, I'm not going to grow up just like him. And the reality is, I think I have grown up very much like my father, and I appreciate that. I've learned from him and his strengths and weaknesses, mistakes and successes. And I feel that, the same with my son and my daughter. I hope that they see how much I want to be there to support them. And I hope that as I age, they will be around to support me, that they will not feel distant from me. They will not feel slighted from me or any of that. And I enjoy trying to talk to my father every week. And I did the same with my mother as when she was alive. And, whether or not we have good relationships with our family members, it's important that we stay connected to them and realize that in the end, that might be all we have. And we also want to look at, professional resources that can kind of help us navigate some of these emotional challenges. And so it may be, the benefit of having a counselor, a therapist, or a psychologist that can help us as some of these issues arise as we age. So what type of emotional support do we have currently, and will that be a sustainable level of emotional support carrying us into our advanced years? And as we age, it's invariable that we are going to lose people in our lives because we don't all age the same and at the same rate, and we don't enter fourth age at the same rate. And so there's going to be more and more loss the older we get. And being able to address those feelings of loss and especially as we lose people that we are dependent upon, can we still manage to feel independent, to be independent, or are we going to increasingly feel dependent upon others as we age? And I think an important aspect of aging well into the fourth age is being able to be as independent as possible, whether it's by trying to maintain as best we can our physical health, trying to maintain our intellectual health and well-being, trying to maintain our cognitive abilities as best we can, without, worries of Alzheimer's disease and other diseases that might take our memories. But what are we doing in our second and third age to prepare to be as independent as possible and to not feel as dependent on others as we enter into fourth age? Because the more dependent we feel, the more likely we are to experience depression, feelings of loss, and feelings of isolation. And so we begin to have emotional support in our fourth age by preparing for that throughout our first, second, and third ages. And as we move forward through the ages, and hopefully many of our listeners are in their second age and are preparing for the third age, we are considering what might transpire in our lives that might have a negative impact on our plans, and understand that our goals may not go as we have planned. And so we want to plan for all circumstances and all potential outcomes that might come as we go through third and fourth age. So it's crucial to personalize your planning based on your specific circumstances, values, and goals. We need to consult professionals such as financial advisors, healthcare providers, or estate planners. All of this can be beneficial in creating a comprehensive plan for our third and fourth ages. And so what plan do you have in place for third and fourth ages? Have you had the discussions and conversations with your family members, whether it be your partner, your children, your grandchildren, those who are most closely associated with your future plans and needs? Are you having these conversations with your doctors? Are you meeting regularly with a financial advisor that is giving you good advice on what to do with your money so that your finances are sustainable through third and fourth age? Do we have plans in place? And so as I kind of wrap up these 7 habits of highly effective aging, we want to make sure that we are not only planning for the fourth age, but we are planning for the third age. And as we go back through and reflect upon these habits, let's remember that the 7 habits included keeping self-esteem, maintaining fitness, being busy and remaining connected, being happy and making others happy, fighting for rights, and planning for fourth age. And if we do these things, then hopefully we will age well. Thank you for listening. I hope you benefited from today's podcast. And until next time, keep aging well.